We decided to call them intentionally inviting classrooms. When kids feel connected to space and connected to one another, they're much more likely to feel connected to their
Yeah,
curriculum and connected to themselves, creating that really natural, calming environment as a platform, and that all of that is valued, and
yeah,
therefore every child is valued
yeah,
for what they bring into that space.
yeah. Well, I'm delighted to host some conversations with school leaders around culture, learning, and place. The Learning Future is partnering with BFX to explore how thoughtful spatial design matters to students and teachers and to the community. Today, I'm welcoming Deb Cox. She's a principal at Ascot State School, primary school in Queensland. And Deb and her team have done extensive work in just preparing the physical environment for their students for great learning, I imagine. Deb, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. It's lovely to meet you finally.
It's great to be here. And tell us a little bit more about Ascot State School.
So Ascot's a very traditional school, historically, in a very affluent area of Brisbane. It's an aging area, so it's kind of been gradually declining and in numbers and changing. Um, Kids are gorgeous, high expectations.
Mm,
Still lots of neurospiciness amongst
yep,
them, which makes it lovely and interesting.
yep.
Um, but genuinely great kids who want to do well, and parents have high aspirations and all
Yeah,
of that sort of stuff. So very invested in
yeah.
the community, parents of Ascot.
Yeah. And what's the journey with the learning space design been in
Yeah, so
school?
I've only been here. So I was at Nunda for Stanthorpe, and I did some work there with Connie from BFX, and then I was at Nunda for 13 years, and
Right.
so every space, indoor and outdoor of Nunda, has been touched.
Yeah.
um, so I went off and did some coaching and came back, and said, "Listen, I'm ready for a new challenge." And they said, "Will you take on Ascot?" And I said, "Absolutely." So I've only been here this year.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and it's been just kind of left be really in
Yeah.
terms of learning spaces, I'd have to say. Just not the passion of the principal, which is fine, lots of other amazing things happening, which I can just sustain and enjoy.
Totally.
Yeah, it's a bit of a blank canvas, to be honest. So
Yeah.
our journey was I came in and went, "Right, this is gonna be fun." Um, and just started talking to the teachers. There was an opportunity for
Mm.
this block of 6 classrooms that were due to get some paint and carpet, and some new ceiling tiles because of some, long-term damage. And so I thought, "Right, let's not just tinker with this, let's dive in and do it properly." So I talked to the teachers about started to talk about what was possible, and so in the end, we got some extra funding. We had very narrow fixed furniture all the way around the
Mm.
classrooms, computer desks, all that sort of stuff, so
Yeah.
very impinging on the space.
Yeah.
There was some great outdoor learning areas of both classrooms, big decks, but they're very industrial kind of looking and
Yeah.
functional. And so, I went, "Right, we can do better." So we basically stripped them back to bare. We started some work with the teachers around looking at, all the research around, learning spaces and pedagogy and colour, and we got Connie in and OT in. We got, Jill Willis from
Yeah. I know.
QUT
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
and her sister Elise,
I know
who has
Elise
done
too.
who's done some work around, neurodiversity and learning spaces. So we got different experts in to get their take, our
Right.
physio, and recommendations, looked at all the research and really processed, and then developed a process by which we wanted to engage the kids.
Great.
So we did that really, and with the grade threes and grade six classes, so 6 classrooms.
Yeah. So what did you draw on from the other schools you've been at? Because you're only been here this year.
Yeah, it's a good.
That shape your thinking?
Yeah, it's. I think it's probably been an evolution for me. When we first did some work in um, Stanthorpe, it was we went kind of very bright colours and quite different furniture, and they were just playing with quite adjustable furniture and that sort of flexible stuff. But there's been so much in Nunda, started to realise that we needed to tone it down. So neutral colours,
Mm.
um, s- wood look for flooring,
Mm.
lots of acoustic tiling, little bit of colour to pop
Mm.
the rooms, but
Yeah.
fairly neutral background so that the kids' work speaks to the space rather than crowding it in,
Mm.
with other things. And so that's probably been a big learning for me around judicious use of colour, but creating that really natural, calming environment as a platform, and
Yeah.
then allowing kids to invite to bring colour in. And then the other things really, use as much acoustics as you can in the flooring. This time we actually went for acoustic vinyl floor tiles,
Mm,
rather than carpet, and I think that that is certainly is now serving us well. I will continue with that.
yeah,
Um, what else I learned? Greenery, like just even if it's not real, have green, have so the preps were I've got this little pots on my desk, but the preps were harvesting and growing plants for the
amazing.
classes, and yeah,
Look, I've heard research. I've read some research around the biophilic that bring the nature into the
yeah,
classroom, and even when you're looking out over something industrial or a built environment, even images and pictures can create that sense of the green mood. It doesn't
yeah.
if because plants won't grow if there's no light, right? So
No, yeah,
if you have some greenery on images or a screensaver on
yeah,
your computer or something like that, or even those things help to lift the mood. So that sense
mood.
biophilic design and bring the outdoors in is really it matters a lot. I'm somebody who loves a window, and I'll position myself at
Yes,
the window because I love to gaze out the window.
me too.
And,
And yeah, so a lot of our teachers were kind of filling all the glass with things and covering
mm,
up the
mm,
view and the vista.
mm,
So
mm,
helping them realize that that vista is actually really important for them and for kids, and
yes.
to not use that space, to think about how busy their rooms are in terms of visually.
It is that
And
sense of good displays versus overly busy is such a challenge. I was
yeah,
a
and
primary
so
school
just
teacher, so I get it.
maintaining it,
Yeah,
and rather than putting out a lead and set and forget. And
yeah.
then, so one of the things I was talking to Jill about that idea, and all the teachers on their doors had like little avatars of the kids and stuff.
Mm,
So what we then did was created a big welcome wall, so it's about 2 meters tall, and it's a big tree, and the tree is a different season in each room. Um, but they have got that then as it's actually a pigeon onto pinboard material,
mm,
so they can actually have a welcome wall,
amazing.
but it brings that same idea. It's a tree that brings the
Mm.
nature into the space.
Yeah, yeah, all of
Mm,
that, yeah, matters. So, I
yeah,
guess, we want to think about these thoughtfully designed learning environments,
yeah.
their impact on the staff and student well-being. How do these link to that sense of belonging that we have in a school? Such an important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's where I think for me it's about process and product.
Right.
And as I said to my P&C when we were talking about, helping getting them to help with some funding of the furniture, it's not just about the nice furniture.
No.
It's
No.
about a sense of engagement in the
Yeah.
process and the design and understanding that this is a legacy that they're creating and
Yeah.
leaving for
Yeah.
future classes to enjoy and to care for.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
really,
I
really
know that,
important.
helping the parents understand that the world is different, school is different.
Yeah,
When I work with schools, it's always a big challenge because they often want to just replicate their own experience. So how have you
yeah.
helped parents to understand that we create different learning environments for our
Yeah. I have to say, I think because we've been a little late to the party, to be honest,
Oh, yeah,
our parents are absolutely right for it.
they're
They
ready.
were
Yeah.
excited, yeah, they were ready for it, they're excited by it. They were very supportive, as were the P&C. So they were very energized by the whole thing. We had a big opening celebration, but the real trick for me was, I think, selling it was getting the kids to do that learning style survey. So I took the
Mm,
Done and Done Learning Styles Learning Environment survey that was quite old, updated that with some of the current research.
mm,
Um, I got all the kids and we sort of stepped them through that about how they like to learn socially, physically, climate, temperature, standing, sitting, diversity, all those things. Um, and then we set them up to take that home and talk to their parents about how they
yeah.
like to learn, and therefore how they think they might use the space, how they're designing the space, and how they might use the space that they're moving into.
Wow.
So
That's so
that was
mm,
powerful. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that was.
What did the students discover about themselves? Did they
They discovered the interesting thing for me is that they discovered that they're all different, of
Yeah.
course, which is just glorious
Yeah.
because previously, um, we have to have a room of odds and sods of furniture, the wobble chair
Mm.
no one ever wanted to sit in that furniture. It's literally in a room because children didn't want to be marked as being the kid who needs to sit in that chair.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't inclusive
Mm.
having one chair. Whereas now all the chairs are different, all the furniture's different. There's standing seats and sitting seats and floor seats and spaces. So there's different chairs outside in the outdoor eating area that the OT recommended. So um, that I think the inclusion is beautiful because they can just see that we share our space, that we move around in our space, that we have different partners that we're good with for different things,
Mm.
and we learn with different people in different ways for different times, um, and that all of that is valued, and
Yeah.
therefore every child is valued
Yeah.
for what they bring into that space.
Yeah. So have you been, Ascot, State School and, like, an old building, or is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mostly old buildings, and then this particular building was 80s probably build.
Sure. So
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
been navigating walls and traditional
yeah,
sort of infrastructure. How have you managed to do that with creating zones and,
yeah.
moving around a bit more?
So a few things externally, the school, for some reason, several people have commented to me, visitors, that the bits of it feels like a prison because there's just big gates, and so we just took gates away. We have better security now. Just ripped them off and took the gates away. Changed the color of internal stair buildings. We had this particular classrooms had operable walls, which are great, but they were never used because they
Mm.
then had fixed TVs on them and fixed.
Well, not operable
So
anymore.
no, so we took the
Yeah.
TVs off. Everything is portable, everything's on wheels, everything's movable. Teachers have a sit down, stand up, push button desk.
Right.
Um, we built in fixed walls,
Yeah.
and then we have basically put whiteboard and pinboard
Mm.
across all of the walls so
Mm.
that they've got maximum acoustic treatment, but also maximum flexibility around their learning walls.
Because many schools, are really interested in doing something interesting with the learning environments, but like yourself, w can't just put a sledgehammer to a wall. We have to work with what we have, and so how, using the multiple furniture to create different zones within a
Yeah,
regular sized classroom, how
yeah.
did you go about that?
So
The
one of
teachers.
the things
Yeah.
that's still a journey for some teachers, like
Yeah.
there's teachers who straight away, because I basically say to them, if your classroom is a reflection of your philosophy of teaching, what's it saying about you?
True.
And there were several teachers who were still strictly rows, right,
Yeah.
facing me at the front, and they took the opportunity to really think about who they wanted to be as a teacher and how what the kids needed from them in terms of learning and how they wanted to function. Yeah, I'd say so. A couple of them just jumped in full
Mm.
steam. Um, and they're actually kind of using the furniture as nooks. So one
Mm.
of the things I encourage them to do is to think about having whiteboard on the back of furniture
Yes.
so that, they come it out from the wall. So it actually becomes a student height, sit on the floor and, right on the white back of the whiteboard space.
Mm.
All our desks are whiteboard tops,
Mm. Mm.
so that the kids, they're, playful and flexible. And so creating nooks with the furniture has
Mm.
been the trick. Some are still playing in that space,
Yeah.
but they know that they can move it to suit the classes and kids and at different times, and it's easy. Um,
We
yeah,
we we were never taught in our teacher education about,
space.
how the space might help us and how,
Yeah,
as it's the third teacher. So do
yeah.
you have a form? I like to use the term, growing our spatial literacy, growing people's spatial
Oh,
literacy,
yeah.
you know,
Mm.
that they're
Yeah.
rather than just default to what's always happened. Did you have a staff meetings, professional development around this, or
Mm.
more of a coaching kind of approach?
No, so I created a Padlet, which I'm happy to share
Yeah,
all the
great,
resources on,
great.
and put all of the research and the information that I gathered. I also had one kind of page that was a bit of a Debism,
Yep.
some non-negotiables
Yep.
around clutter and no stuff on not on paint and, just care of the spaces, some non-negotiables, and then said, really, these are the things that you have the space to design
Yeah.
within your classrooms. And so we literally listened to the experts. About what their recommendations were. We read through all the research. Everyone had some
Mm,
pre-reading to do
mm,
in terms of preparation. They fed back what some of the key messages were, and then we just gradually pieced it together. So it was one whole day and
mm,
then a series of other kind of meetings. It was more coaching style,
mm.
around how they were gonna work it. And it's an ongoing the other thing I'd say is that it's not just a set and forget, it is an ongoing conversation.
Yeah. I used to say, it's not something, here is the beautiful classroom, let's tie a bow, it's ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, open the bow, see you
It's
later. Yeah,
people, right? People
yeah,
always need that.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's really critical to have that sense of this is a journey because new people come in, right? So you're always
yeah,
we're getting
and
new people, we have to inculcate them. In that design, I love to apply the concept of design broadly beyond space, but to our thinking as
yeah,
well. And I use the term enabling constraints. So when we have
that's
great
nice.
designs, we know what our constraints are. And your
Yeah,
Debisms are okay, we can work within these parameters. Within these
yeah,
parameters, do whatever you like, but
yeah,
you're clearly articulating the desired culture by doing that,
yes,
right?
yeah,
So and I like what you said too about that more neutral palette. Then we add the color from the children and their work and the other things, but we
yeah,
there's that sense of a calm often that we find when
yes,
palette is a bit neutral. I
yeah.
understand that journey you went with the color.
And it's funny because so the classrooms are very neutral palette.
Mm,
Most of the desks are whiteboard tops. The teachers' furniture is the wood look, it matches the floor, all
mm,
white.
mm,
And then most of the teachers working with the kids pick to blues and greens to pick
mm.
up in the little bits of furniture colours or
Yeah.
the desks or the chairs. Um, at one classroom, and I wasn't sure how the boys were going to take it, but it's pink and green, like a wicked kind of colour. And it's gorgeous and they love it.
Yeah.
And there's another one where the teacher went with kind of very muted greys and purples, but it is the most beautiful, calm classroom.
Mm,
And she's got kids in there that are kind of can be a little bit busy and spicy, and they're just so calm in this
mm,
space. One of the
mm,
teachers said to me there was a boy who was struggling. Well, he was struggling at the beginning of the year, and then they moved into a really tiny space. He's a very big boy, Maori boy, and they moved into a tiny space temporarily. And during that time, he really struggled with friendships and
yeah.
stuff. And then he went away on holiday with his family for a month or so, came back when they moved into the new space. And she said to me, she can't believe the difference
Mm,
in him in the different space,
mm.
because all of a sudden there's room and
Mm.
there's view and there's different options for kids to sit. And he doesn't feel so obvious, in his physicality.
Yeah,
Um,
we do I find space the environment impacts me, and
yeah, me too.
I'm sure there are children who
Yeah,
can just work anywhere, but there's ones who go, "This I just don't feel right here," and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a part of our inclusivity, isn't it, to think about
yeah,
how we feel in the environment that makes us
yeah.
belonging and, calm.
When the kids started to look at it, quite a lot of the kids you'd hear "Oh, this is like home. Oh, this is like home,"
Yeah.
which is how we want it. We want them to feel safe and comfortable and connected to one another and to the spaces
Especially
and
as you describe, the inherited physical infrastructure is prison-like, in terms of
yes,
the room.
really very
Go
industrial.
into those rooms, you
Yeah,
have that sense of warmth and home, and
yeah,
I love this direction that we're heading in education that, the quality of the environment, the aesthetics matter, not just to
matters.
the adults, to the children as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would extend that to outdoor learning areas,
yeah.
which I know we think of them as playground, but I like to think of them as outdoor learning
Tell me a little bit
areas.
more how you
Yeah.
utilize it, because people have a desire to go outdoors for the learning, not just for play, but sometimes
Yes.
the logistics or just the sheer effort of doing that goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
but how do you do
It's
that?"
funny. one of my so we certainly have done that before. Here, we're just starting on that journey. It was funny because the kids, there were little things like the grade sixes were not necessarily being their best selves at eating time when early in the year, and and I went, oh, I would want to sit in that
Yeah.
bird poo. And so when they moved out temporarily, I put all their old furniture downstairs under the building from their classroom for them to sit on.
Yeah.
So they had tables and chairs to sit at, and the difference was amazing.
Yeah.
And so then the grade sixes have decided as a group, their legacy project is
Mm.
going to be doing up an area underneath this building with so painting it, putting down some artificial turf, putting some lights with. So they've kind of been raising money for this, and the PNC have matched their money, putting up some industrial kind of light festoon lighting, and creating a real space for celebrations, for their graduation, for eating, for and then they said, oh, and we will have a couple of whiteboards so it can be a teaching space as well, and then so that's just in development. One of the teachers of the classroom said to me, "Oh, is it okay if we take the kids down to eat for fruit break?" And I went, "Of course. It's all learning areas. Do whatever you want to do." Like, so I think there's been some mental models around that stuff.
And that's
Um,
the school you're at now.
yeah,
You've only been here this year. Do you
yeah.
think the legacy project each year, you might see little development
Yes, I
processes
reckon we
around the
actually soon
school?
because they have
Yeah.
a bit of a grand plan. So
Yeah.
I think we'll see some seating along here and then some green
Amazing.
turf down this bit leading down to the oval. And we've also worked with a company, Fred Street, to develop a master landscape plan now
Oh,
for the whole
wonderful.
school. So we're going to work with the PNC on kind of doing one piece at a time in terms of outdoor learning areas so that they flow naturally in and out of spaces and kids can go outside and read or work or with their iPads
Yeah.
or, etcetera.
Yeah. I recently did some focus groups with students,
Mm.
around a master planning process for a school, and the amount of students who mentioned the outdoors, this particular
Yes.
green area. I love doing some work outdoors. They really crave it, and it's
Yeah, they
something.
do.
And it gets back to we want the physical environment to be aesthetically pleasing, but we want to be outside more. We know we're better
Yeah.
when we're outside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible.
So it's exciting. And the teacher said to me, "Oh, so can we have some whiteboards downstairs?" I, yeah, it's like it's already in play. There'll be a couple here. And she was very excited.
Yeah.
So it's funny how it is quite simple to energize people, really,
Mm.
if you help them see the possibilities of things. And, people can get quite excited about.
And it's
And
that.
and then they're more open to doing things differently.
Yes, and it's they capture the vision. They understand it's just not
Yeah.
for looking lovely photos on the website. There's actual purpose behind it.
Yeah.
This it's
Yes.
a vision-led process, and I guess with that in mind, we're here for students and their learning, right? So how do you see deeper engagement or improved learning outcomes through an attention to that physical environment?
Yeah, I did all that work at Nunda in the early days of Nunda and at Stanthorpe, and after that, I kind of stopped actually tracking the, academic outcomes, and I just enjoyed the process because I know and have
Yeah,
faith that
okay. Yeah,
it is about ultimately about
yeah,
engagement, right? It
yeah,
just when kids feel connected to space and connected to one another, they're much more likely to feel connected to
yeah.
curriculum and connected to themselves is first, or I say to the kids. Um, and so, yeah, you see that and well, you feel it more than you can see it. But you certainly see it when you see the kids and the way they're interacting around a table. Whereas before they were in rows and all of a sudden we say we want them to be collaborative. Now we're actually giving them the opportunity to be collaborative spontaneously as well as explicitly in how we set up their learning.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, I'll be interested to see our learning outcomes have already taken a nice little spike from
mm.
semester one than where they were. So I'm really curious about what that looks like. But that's a combination of some work around curriculum design and the whole picture. That's
Everything,
exactly
yeah.
right.
But
Energy, teachers' energy.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
it is like, school's an ecosystem, right? We can't just pull out, "Let's
yeah,
fix the physical environment." It's not gonna fix all of these, but if we
no,
tend to these things holistically, then we
yeah,
start to see that, and I think it's also creating I can pick up from what you've said, creating that culture and that environment where it's a place where people want to be.
Yeah.
And it's like going to
We
work. When it's a place you want to be, you want to do your best.
Best, yeah. We, decided to call them intentionally inviting
Oh,
classrooms.
that is a nice
Yeah,
term.
I
Yeah,
like that too.
really nice. And
Yeah,
that's again, the enabling constraint, isn't it?
yeah.
What does it mean to have an intentionally inviting environment? And
Yes.
we
And
can our eyes ears to that.
the idea of inviting learning rather than imposing learning or delivering learning, like, it's just a different mental model that
Yeah,
we're working on shifting,
yeah,
So I love that idea of intentional, um, and invitational learning for
yeah.
adults as well as for kids.
That's right. That's a fantastic. And what about, I know that, there are many, schools and principals who really wanna go down this road,
Yeah.
thinking about it and transforming it, but they're hesitant. What can you say to them that helps them to go, "Yeah, I can start this journey?"
Yeah, I would say, A, contact me and get a copy of the Padlet with all the research because I'll just invite you into it.
Awesome.
Because we've done it, all our lessons and learning is sitting there, so,
Yeah,
happy to share it. But, just pick a couple of classes off that are willing, pick a couple of teachers. We
yeah,
started in Nunda with one teacher who
yeah.
said, "I wanna do this differently." She was Rose, the kids were not responding. She said, "I wanna flip this classroom, I wanna do it differently."
Mm,
And so we did, we went through a similar process, and then that just snowballed, to be honest.
mm.
Once people see what's possible and see how it can, and they talk to the teacher about how they feel about entering their classroom in the morning, and
Yeah,
so start with one room.
yeah,
Start with 3 teachers and as a little mini project. But you have to attend to who the personal. You have to let the teacher bring who they wanna be in this classroom.
it's really right.
Um, yeah, it's you've got to honour that, and they've got to honour that.
Yeah,
And not just who I've been, but who I wanna be. The teacher I wanna be for kids, the skills I wanna grow in the children.
yeah,
What's Bring that personal vision,
yeah.
and the personal pedagogy piece into the classroom.
I found
Um,
in the research that I did in the sort of school transformation, the transformation by directive doesn't work, right?
no,
In just all the
it's not
cases that
cared for, it's not.
no, I looked at it was like, well, who's willing to put their hand up to have a go at this?
Yeah,
And it's getting that, building that momentum from some
yeah,
people, the others watching going, "Oh, that's looking good. Maybe I should try
yeah,
this as
try
well."
that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Where did
I
you
said
find
to the
go on.
I said to the prep team, "So, should we go next? Should we do the prep
Yeah,
rooms?"
yeah,
And they were like, "Yeah." I said, "Should we move out of those really big rooms over there and really go for"
yeah.
and so, yeah, they're very excited about that. So that'll be next, 3 prep classrooms.
So where did you get your inspiration for this?
Oh, that is a very you know what? It was some teachers.
Yeah,
Um, Going back to the very beginning of when I met Connie at BFX, I had some teachers who said to me, we just wanna do something different," like, very similar to the one teacher in Nunda,
mm,
and that was 20 years ago, when,
yeah,
State Schools of Tomorrow, I think, was just we were just before that. So we kind of caught that wave, which was fabulous. And we wanna do some things differently, we wanna do some learning differently. If we're
mm,
serious, we've done the work around the visioning for the kids, around the skills we wanted to grow in the children. They said, "We can't do that in grey desks, in rows,
mm,
in this space. We completely rethink,
mm,
how we work." In the end, the kids took their feet, came in bare feet in their classroom, so they felt really connected and grounded, and so we went on a design process with these 2 teachers.
wow,
Yeah, Annette and, Margot, and, so I looked around, and then I phoned and talked to Connie, and first time I phoned her, she turned up, and we went, "Right." So we just made an effort and started, and I've learnt so much more since then, but,
yeah.
it was teachers' inspiration, I
Yeah,
have to say.
and as you
Yeah,
said, they're different with these type of transformations, we're not getting it right the first time. We
no,
try things, and
no,
you mentioned the colour, there was a lot of colour, but you've pulled that back and you've made it more
yeah,
neutral. Different things like that. This is
yeah,
there's no rule book, is there? There's no one
no,
we've got to look at our communities, we've got to look at the context that we're in, and then take steps,
Yep.
whether it's big or
And
small.
so the thing that I've learned most is, neutral palette, bring color in flexible things, and but make everything flexible. Wheels, movable, portable. So a different teacher could come in and completely reshape that and think differently, and maximize use of wall space and leave the windows, tint the windows and leave them open to
Yeah,
viewing nature.
yeah,
And then other than that, you can't go too wrong. You get a variety of desk heights, variety of chair heights, you
yeah.
know.
Just yes, it's not all the same.
Yeah,
They're really wise words, particularly that ending where we really want to encourage people to think it doesn't have to be that way. We can do something
yeah.
exciting and different. So thank you so much for making the time to talk to me today and to share your wisdom more broadly to this community. And I
Pleasure.
hope that one day you and I can actually do a face-to-face and meet
Face
in
to
person.
face.
I would love to
That
visit.
would be lovely. I would, yeah, that'd be
Fantastic.
great.
So thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Pleasure. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.